Today's Friday and we had the most amazing classes today. In philosophy we talked about many different things, and one thing was God, and what Buddhism or Buddha thought about, or thinks or thought about God. And Vijit told a story about someone who was coming to ask Buddha whether there was a God, and it was a person who had worshipped God his entire life in a way. And Buddha said, no, there is no God. But then another person came who had his entire life advocated that there is no God, and he became worried that maybe there is one. Oh my God. And he asked Buddha, is there a God? And Buddha said, yes. And so the moral of the story is that there is not really a difference between believing in God and not believing in God. You're still kind of in the same thing. You still have beliefs. And we talked about how you should, or not you should, but at some point you might drop all your beliefs, your ideals, your rules, or rules made by society, and just be with the world. It's always the same in different variations. I already said that, but I think it's necessary to hear it so many times in different variations because it's so hard to really get there. And we also talked about how it's totally useless to imitate someone else in order to get enlightenment or to become happy. It doesn't make any sense to try to be like Christ or like Buddha. Instead, you should find your own way. Yeah, then in physiology and anatomy, today we talked about the Yoga Sutras, so it became a bit more philosophical again, also there. So you remember that there were the 8 limbs of yoga that Patanjali specified, yamas, niyamas, so like codes of conduct, or how do you want to say, well, it was interpreted differently now, but these kind of rules for behaving with others and yourself. And then asana, the body postures, pranayama, pratyahara, withdrawal from the senses, dharana, concentration, dhyana, and samadhi. So these 8 limbs. And I got a whole new perspective on that. So first of all, the teacher said that point 6 to 8, so the concentration parts and samadhi, they are not really something that you practice, but rather it is the outcome of being in a state of yoga or of doing your practices. So then you will get this perfect concentration and you will be in a state of meditation. It's not really like you practice it in itself. Ew! Oh my God, here's like a huge animal. I'm just gonna ignore this. Okay. Like a cockroach or something. Well, I'll take care of that after the video. So, okay, more interesting. Yama, niyama. So remember, the yamas, for example, were non-violence. So, yeah, being non-violent with yourself and others. And Roshan stressed that it's not really about. Sorry, this animal is making me a bit nervous. It's not really about practicing it, because then you might just suppress your anger to be non-violent, but rather it's also something that happens to you because you practice, and all these other things as well. Even celibacy could just happen to you because you practice yoga and you come to this special state. So then the question is, of course, so what do I practice if all of these can be considered kind of outcomes and they will happen naturally, instead of that I force them onto myself, you know, not stealing, not lying, etc. So if this is my natural state and I just want to get back to it, how do I do that? And now that was really cool, because he said the key is impartial observation. So in terms of yama, impartially observe your behavior towards others. Just observe yourself, how you are with others, how you react to others. And automatically, when you observe certain things, you might also change your behavior. You don't have to judge it, you don't have to do anything, just observe it. And then the same with niyama, so that relates to yourself. So observe your behavior when you're just with yourself. And then asana is the practice of impartially observing yourself in different body postures, observing your body and your posture, not just on the yoga mat, but all the time. Pranayama, impartial observation of your breath. So don't try to change it, but just observe it, which will actually lead to a slowing down of breath automatically. Pratyahara, impartial observation of the mind. And I find this quite amazing because, of course, this is just the view of this teacher in a way, Roshan. But it was so enlightening for me somehow. Because, so in the end, he just comes back to basically the concept of mindfulness. I don't think it's called mindfulness in yoga. It's called differently. But yeah, this huge concept that is also so popular in the West now, non-judgmental observation of inner content of the world, that this is what it comes down to. And if you do that all the time, that then you will have all these beautiful experiences and be so happy with yourself eventually. Yeah, because the idea is that, for example, with your posture, once you get aware of it and you impartially observe, you're not like, oh, why am I such a loser and I sit like this, but you're just like noticing, okay, I sit like this now. And when you notice that, you will automatically probably at some point shift, or after a few days, when you always notice you sit like this, and you will just maybe notice that this feels right and keep on sitting like this. Yeah, so mindfulness is the key. And yeah, and then he ended by saying, what is it that remains when we are focused in the end, in these states where we have samadhi and total focus and concentration? What is it actually? And he answered, it's love. What will be left is love. And in the state of the samadhi, there will be no subject anymore, no I, but just the object or everything. So your ego dissolves and everything becomes one, everything becomes love. Well, it really spoke to me. And yes, that's it. Tomorrow is our last day and our ceremony.